Welcome back to the 20 and 20 take 2. Look, the wind is just kind of holding the map to me. This is amazing. We're in the 13th arrondissement today, the luckiest arrondissement, or is it the cursed arrondissement? Could be the cursed arrondissement. It wasn't originally going to be named the 13th. That's a little bit of trivia that we'll save for later. But I happen to be standing in front of some of my favorite street art in the city. This is probably the best place to go to get a quick view of street art, and I'm going to show you how to do it. If you don't feel like setting foot in the 13th, it doesn't mean you can't enjoy it as you pass by. Trust me, it'll all make sense here in a second. Welcome to Paris in My Pocket's Guide to the 13th arrondissement. Make sure to go to parisinmypocket.com, grab my guide to the city. If you want to get ahead and see all the rest of the arrondissements and all my recommendations, not just 5 in each, go to parisinmypocket.com, grab my guide. But today we're going to do 5 of my favorite things in the 13th. We did the 14th last week. It was terrible. It was rough, let's say. But you know, this will be much better. I'm looking forward to it. We love coffee. Yes, we do. I've been wanting to come to this place ever since I first found out about it, not only because of the name, but it just has a really nice, warm, fun, bubbly design to it that you see even just passing the street on your bike. It's nice. Get the vibe that when you come in here, you're going to want to treat it a little bit like a library. It's got a very quiet vibe, including not just the clientele, but the staff, everybody. It's got a nice, so if you're an American like me, want to keep the voice down, especially me, a very loud, resonant voice that just kind of fills a room, which is nice in some circumstances, but not nice when you're trying to speak quietly and not disturb everybody around you at the same time. You have some really interesting roasters on right now, including Fève, and then there's one that actually received the Meilleur Ouvrier de France. It's a really, really high distinction for anything artisan craft in France. Like, you can be the best cheesemaker, you can be the best winemaker, and they just started doing it for coffee, I believe, recently. And it's pretty cool. He's up in Canton, a place that I've never been, but might have to go just for his coffee. The coffee is very nice. I got a flat white. They didn't have any filter on today, and that's all right. But it's very good. The lemon cake is really good. I've been wanting to come here, try it out, check it out, let you know about it, and turns out it was worth the journey. If you happen to be wandering into the 13th, we're in Coulebard, which you might recognize from the 80 and 8, a series that maybe I'll get to again one day. Don't worry, some of you are really into it, but for the meantime, it's a quarter that doesn't really have a lot going on. I don't even know if this place was open when I was doing the 80 and 8. I don't think it was. I could be wrong about that, but I definitely missed it if it was open, and it would save this neighborhood if I had found it. I don't know that there's much else in Coulebard. There's one park we go wander through, and then we're on our way to street art. Square de Gaulle is a park that I really didn't like when I first found it, and now I love because it's just weird. Like, there's something about it that's just odd, between the faces made of rocks that I don't recognize on the walls to this flower garden with a strangely phallic obelisk that looks like it sprung straight out of Jack Sparrow's nightmares, and into a slightly phallic situation with these bushes behind me. There's something to this place that's just bizarre. But it's very nice, it's quiet. It's a neoclassical garden that definitely stands out and fits the 13th very well for its mishmash. But it, to me, feels like a mishmash of character. Lots of really nice flowers, tons of birds singing. This place is kind of low-key magical, even if it's really, really weird. Also, quick park and Parisian reminder. I've been wanting to do something on the water in Paris for a long time. People ask all the time, is the water drinkable? Potable, as they say. I don't even know where that word comes from, but yes, the water is drinkable unless there's a sign explicitly saying, do not drink this. You can drink pretty much any water fountain you find in the city. There are a lot of them, a lot of beautiful ones too. We'll do something about that one of these days. But if it's hot, and don't forget to drink your water. You can grab a little bit as you go. I'm not the only one drawing stuff around here. The 13th is full of magnificent street art. And the easy way to do this, if you don't really want to walk around in the 13th for whatever reason, which I actually recommend strolling around here. You'll be surprised at what you find. Tons of Space Invaders if you're into that, which we haven't really been talking about a whole lot in this series because I talked about it way too much the last time I did this. But some of these murals have been here for years. Some of them are new. They're incredible, and it's almost like getting an urban gallery if you hop on the metro. The trick for this is to get on the metro either at Place d'Italie or anywhere basically on the other side of the river. If you start in Bercy, you'll get a shot or a view of the river as you come across. And then between Chevaleret and Place d'Italie is where some of the biggest pieces are. Chevalerie is where I got out. It's like the easiest place to get out for where we're going for lunch today as well. But the beauty of it is that you can just hop on the metro, which is going on right behind me, and then just look out the window and you get to see some pretty incredible art as it rolls on by. You might see a piece that you really want to go hunt down and find, in which case hop off the metro, stroll on over, get your photos, and see what other magical things you find along the way. You'll probably find some pretty magical stuff. How's that? How's that for a tip? Hot tips for the 13th. We've got them all day, all night. Up and down, left and right. They're baking, coming out hot. Are looking for Space Invaders. This Hugh Laurie, Dr. House, is probably the largest I've ever seen because he's bigger than those 3 people's houses combined. Holy bananas. That right there is a real Space Invader. Look at it, it's huge. It's as tall as the metro. If you were wondering where that giant metal turd that I showed you in my announcement video was located, oh, we're gonna get there. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna tell you all about it and you're gonna not regret it one little bit. Maybe just a little bit. Also, what the heck is that? The closer you get to the river, the less like Paris the 13th starts to feel. I mean, it's very much more modern, but there's something about it that I actually have come to really, really appreciate. It's slick, it's new, and there's some really, really cool buildings over here that have gone up recently that are good decisions, where Paris, especially in the 60s, might have made some less than great decisions with its architecture. But the 13th wasn't originally going to be named the 13th. As the stories go, the 16th was originally slated to be the 13th when they redistricted the whole city and expanded the reach of Paris to what it is today. And the residents of the 16th, who are wealthier, there's another tip in here for you about how to figure out in European cities where the wealthier part of town tends to be, but they didn't like that so much. Now, it might be because 13 was an unlucky number back then as it is today. Not that I said that out loud, the 13th is such a lucky arrondissement, but also, as the stories go, since there were only 12 arrondissements in Paris before that, getting married in the 13th was a euphemism for having sex out of marriage. You know, when you think of the French, you don't think of that as being particularly scandalous, do you? But I guess back then it was, at least as a euphemism. So getting married in the 13th wasn't exactly going to be on par for the 16th, and they lobbied to have the numbering done a little bit differently, and they ended up being the 16th. That's the story I've heard. Honestly, it doesn't necessarily ring true, but I really, really like it as a story. So, you know, that's like, if you go on tours, remember, if you go on tours with tour guides, you're gonna get like some really fun stories that you might want to fact check later. That was your reminder on that one, but I really do like that story. I don't remember where I heard it, so there's no citation for that one. Make sure that if you pass it along, but maybe, you know, cite that fact. The second thing was that when European cities were industrial and they had factories, the winds tended to blow east. And so western suburbs and western portions of the city tended to be filled with wealthier people who were willing to spend more on their housing. And the east was a little bit cheaper. That kind of holds true in Paris for sure, and in a lot of cities that you might visit while you're here in Europe. And that one's actually true. You don't have to fact check. You can fact check me on that one. Feel free to fact check me on that one, because I always still feel like, yeah, the winds blow in all kinds of directions, right? But predominantly east, and hey man, it plays out on the ground whenever you go to a lot of these cities. So we're in Bibliothèque Nationale de France, François Mitterrand, named after the president. The Bibliothèque Nationale de France, BNF. I've always been told you're not allowed to actually go in here unless you're a student, because I really want to go up and see what the views are like, but we might go inside and ask and see, because why haven't I gone in and just asked? There is another Bibliothèque Nationale de France, BNF, that I'm going to take you to soon, so be sure to subscribe. It's going to be in one of the later arrondissements in the series, but it is beautiful, recently finished. You may have seen it online already. I've already been there once. There's a photo of me on Instagram in it, so I guess I've just spoiled it for you. You can go find it on your own right now, but we're definitely going to go check that out in the not too distant future. I think it's a much more beautiful library than this one, but this one is impressive because it is made to be 4 books standing on the corners facing inwards, and when you think about the sheer size of this library, this is one library. This is just 2 buildings out of the 4, and they're all connected magically. Not magically, it's not, you know what I mean. Anyways. So it turns out that the only thing that's really available for you to do is to walk around this hallway that goes all the way around the garden below. The 4 towers are for the conservation of books. I'm guessing they're part of the National Archives. I'm not entirely sure. She was not the most patient and didn't really want to keep talking. I was like holding a phone to her chest very pointedly. So yeah, you're allowed to walk around down here. You can rent rooms to study in if you happen to be a student, but if you're visiting, there's no real reason to come here because you can't go up the towers. unless you work for the library, yeah, then you already know all this and you don't need me to tell you any of it. But it is nice to get out of the wind for a second and pretend I'm in a giant library, I guess, because technically I am. But I really need lunch. Good, how are you guys? Good. La Felicita is basically the food court, you could say, of the tech incubator Station F. It's a really cool location, just kind of fun vibes, open, lots of light, and a place you can go sit, work, and get a vibe that's just very different for Paris. It's vibrant, it's young, there's a lot of entrepreneurial spirit going on here, and generally, I kind of like it. It's a really refreshing place to go and just get kind of away from what feels like the normal Parisian vibe. We grab some burgers, some pasta, you can get pizza, you can kind of get a wide variety of things all by ordering on their QR code. You pay with your phone, gives you a confirmation number, and then you just go to the location, pick it up, and go. They've got drinks, so if you want to grab a drink in the evening, whether that's a cocktail or beer, not a bad spot to do it. A coffee shop, so you can grab coffee while you're here, sit, have a little bit of a caffeination session, maybe a meeting, or maybe you just need to refill on your way back to the library, which you can't really go to, as we've discovered together. It's really sad. Anyways. There are a ton of offices around, so there's a lot of people that are working there on the lunch break, but you also see families come in. You'll see like neighborhood, like it's open and it's welcoming. A tricky place to find, like, so it says long old, I don't know if this was a train station, like an old train repair yard or what this was, but the entrance is actually in the middle. So you want to go, if you find yourself on either end, like by the big silver turd or the huge road over here, just come down the stairs or walk away from the turd and you'll find your way in the middle. We probably shouldn't talk about turds while we're eating, but it is a landmark and now you know where it is. Thanks to today's patron producer, my first ever patron, Joel Pearson. He's the oldest and longest running patron of all of them, I think for 7 years. Thanks, Joel. Really appreciate having you here. And for those of you that didn't track along these maps, if you're into them, I hand drew every single one of these maps of Paris and then colored in the arrondissements we've gone through, because that's the only way this works. So I drew like 21, 22 of these because I might have screwed a couple up along the way. And there might be a little error in each and every one because I made one mistake on the main one and then continued doing it from there on. Anyways, my patrons are gonna be getting one of these. I'm going to be handing them all out or sending them out to random patrons as we go at the end of this series. So if you're a patron of mine, be looking out for that post at the very end of the series. We'll do a giveaway. I'll give away all the maps. And if you're not a patron yet, you still can become one. There's plenty of time. Hint, hint. And otherwise, thanks to my patrons for making this possible, for sending us out to try all this delicious coffee, beer, food, and everything else. And anyways, back to it. We're finishing up our day here at Caillou Coffee Roasters, which might make you feel a little bit like only coffee. Not the case. This is actually a combination effort between Fox over at Good News and the team at Pan Am Brewing Company. You might know Fox from Good News because, you know, he's been around a whole bunch, but he's also in the 15th Arrondissement video. And if you end up in the 13th, you're gonna get bonus points for coming this far out. It's not that hard to get to if you jump on line 14, just a short walk from Francois Mitterrand, the big library that you saw earlier. This is an all-day place, so if you wanna come for coffee, if you happen to be staying in this neighborhood, grab a coffee, grab some brunch, gonna be really delicious. But odds are good, if you end up coming over here, it's gonna be an afternoon or evening affair, especially if you're taking advantage of the river or the library. And so you're gonna wanna end up having some beer. And the tapas is so good. The food here, delicious, really, really good. We had a burratina, as I recall, because this is, I lost the footage and now I'm having to say this later. We had a burratina that had some really delicious strawberries and it just was phenomenal. The pan con tomate, if you can get here and have the pan con tomate, super good. There's just like a lot of really, really, really good food around. If you feel like claustrophobic during your time here in Paris, it is one of the nicest spaces in Paris. As far as coffee shops go, when it comes to natural light, lots of room to move your elbows and maybe just sit, do some work, or chat with somebody that you love, get a couple of refills of coffee or have a handful of pints. Maybe 2 pints if you're being a little bit more conservative. You do you. Really great spot to do it. Anyways, that should do it for us in the 13th today. Thank you for watching. We obviously have 12 more arrondissements to go, and you're more than welcome to join for those, so subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks to all my patrons whose lovely names you see scrolling alongside my face on the screen here. If you'd like to join their ranks, if you'd like the chance to get one of those maps at the end of the series, be sure to go to patreon.com/jswanson. Become a patron today. I really appreciate it. It makes all this possible. Literally would not happen if it wasn't for my patrons. Long history of that, good story. tell you more about that another time. And of course, if you'd like all my recommendations to Paris right now, you can get them at parisinmypocket.com. Get ahead of the entire video series, get all the good stuff, and then you'll know what's coming. Except for the stuff that we're exploring in the series that's not in my guide yet, and you'll see that in the series. There's a reason to watch the videos still. You can't get everything in one spot, because how am I gonna keep you coming back? I mean, obviously, with this beautiful, handsome face and this delightful dog, that's a good combination, right? Yes, the answer is yes. If you didn't just scream yes at your television, you're like, why? Okay. Little baby Cooper, little baby Cooper.